Hey everybody, so let's jump into the video. This is like my millionth take, but it's okay, we're gonna get it this time. So, the first Fox Disney deal I think is really interesting to identify, and the authors talk about, the pros and cons of it and what was keeping the deal from being pushed through. So, Disney had to get approval from a lot of different markets, and that included the US government, the Chinese government. The US government surprisingly pushed this through very quickly. I feel like I always assumed that the government would protect us from monopolizing, like with the AT&T deal. In the past, they wanted to protect the consumers, but in this deal, it seems interesting that these markets were approving everything very quickly because it doesn't protect the little guys and people can't enter the market because now we have these super conglomerates. And secondly, it's interesting that the Chinese market, they had a little hesitation to it, but Disney is very reliant on the Chinese market, which I also didn't know. How American of me to think that Disney was mostly involved in the US. But yeah, so if I guess it wasn't them, it would have been Comcast, who was also in the bid for making a super conglomerate. So, I feel like there's always somebody in the market to monopolize all of the channels, and somebody wants to be the head honcho of all of our media, which is people should be worried about that. But I don't know. I guess people don't really talk about it unless you're in the media realm. So, moving on to the second question. I chose the coronavirus to analyze because everyone's talking about COVID-19. Seems global pandemic, so I would hope that everyone would have something on their mind about that. So I saw two of the articles were about kind of how Trump was talking about that the flu was killing more people than COVID-19, and they were kind of fact-checking that, saying, hey, get your flu vaccine, but more people are still dying of coronavirus. So the AP was mostly the one fact-checking Trump and saying that he overstated the deaths of the flu compared to COVID-19. And then the second was the AFP that was a fact-check. They were talking about the flu virus didn't give people COVID-19, but the children in the test that they were analyzing that did get the flu vaccine, they were at a high risk of infection or respiratory illnesses, and that could include COVID-19. So the last one was Reuters, and that was basically just to the point. It was facts and statistics, and the way that they analyzed it was very logical, and they included their sources, and it wasn't really criticizing anybody or anything like that. I think the first AP News was a little critical of Trump and saying why would he say that, because that's not true. But I don't know. Anyways, so the way that they analyzed them was a little different, and it was kind of harder on the AFP to find news sources because a lot of it would flip to French, and I didn't really know how to auto-translate that on my computer, so it made it not something I would want to go to every day and try and find articles. But the AP, easy. You could just go through, you could find different articles, and the coronavirus was one of their headlines, so it made it very prominent on their website to look at the coronavirus, which is what most people want to look at nowadays anyways. So I think it's interesting. The news doesn't tell you what to think, but it does tell you what to think about. And I think coronavirus, even though most people want to know about it, I think it makes it easier to think about it because you see it everywhere. So that's my video. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to seeing everyone else's.